Okay, Okala is coming over.
Sorry, we need the space now.
Heavy home.
You know, the court actually invited counsel to all parties to come and address it based on the judgment in Oboji, Senator Oboji and others versus Governor Umahi and others, which was delivered by the Court of Appeal in Enugu Judicial Division just on Friday last week, about 5 days ago. And the judge was right to have done so, because no judge can pretend not to be aware of binding decisions. We call it the doctrine of stare decisis. Judicial precedent. What has been said by a higher court should be bound by or abided by a lower court. The judgment of the Court of Appeal in Enugu is a judgment in rem. It applies to the whole world and to everybody, whether you were a party to that case or not. And the judgment was essentially relying on the case of Attorney General of the Federation against Abubakar Atiku, decided by the Supreme Court itself in 2007, where the issue of who owns the votes and what is the consequence of defecting from the platform on which you were elected into office to another political party. The case was not novel. The Court of Appeal found that this is not novel, that the Supreme Court looked at this same issue in Atiku's case. In that case, Atiku, who was vice president to Obasanjo in PDP, had some quarrels and disagreements with his boss. And so he resigned and defected from PDP to the then AC. And the question was, and Obasanjo got angry. I said, you can't do that. I hereby declare your seat vacant. Atiku went to the Court of Appeal, Abuja, which was the court of first instance. And he won. And the Attorney General appealed to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court made it clear that defection is not one of the reasons stipulated in the Constitution for removing a governor. A governor defecting is exercising his constitutional right under Section 40 of the Constitution, freedom of association, freedom of assembly. So the Supreme Court in Atiku said, the Constitution has exhaustively provided for how a governor who has taken the oath of office and oath of allegiance can be removed from office. Defection is not one of them. And that the principle in law is expressio unius, exclusio ulterior, which means the express mentioning of one thing is the exclusion of others. And that if you want to know this Court of Appeal judgment, how a governor can be removed, you have to go to section 180 and 188 and 189 of the Constitution. If a governor dies in office, if he resigns by himself, if his term expires and is succeeded by his successor after 4 years, or if he's impeached by the State Assembly, by the State House of Assembly, or if he's found to be lunatic, in which case a board is set up to determine his sanity, that these are the only instances in which a governor can be removed, not for defecting. So that judgment applies on all fours with the case in issue. It has to do with the votes. PDP are saying they own the votes that Ayade carried to APC. Court of Appeal found that the votes that they said Umahi carried from PDP to APC were no longer PDP votes, but they belong to the individual who won the election. The same way the Supreme Court had also found in Atiku's case. And the Supreme Court is several authorities on Bugadiu's case, Ozongbachi versus Amadi, so many cases. It says votes no longer belong to a political party. It is an individual that contests elections that own the votes. The political parties are merely used as vehicles to canvass for votes for an individual and amass votes for an individual. But that once the individual is sworn in, he owns the votes, not the political party. So the Supreme Court actually said it is painful, immoral, and unconscionable for an individual to leave a party that elected him and go to another, but it is not illegal. The Court of Appeal this time found that it could be immoral or inappropriate, but it is not illegal. So those clamoring, I've written a lot of articles on this area. It is an argument from a moral perspective. Thank God the National Assembly is currently going on with constitutional amendment. This is the time for them to amend, to include that one of the reasons you can remove a governor is when he defects. For now, it is not the law, and it cannot be done. That was why the court said, in the case of Ejuro versus Idris, that you cannot walk up into the Federal High Court with an originating summons to remove a city governor who has sworn to oath of allegiance and oath of office. That's what they tried to do in this same case. So the case decided last week in Court of Appeal, Enugu Judicial Division applies on all fours to this case, and by the doctrine of stare decisis, this court is bound by that decision, and that is why I commend the court for inviting parties over to come and address it again on it today.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.